Hello everyone, I'm Michael and welcome to Reading at Home. I should explain. I've been pretending to have an underwater swim. These are my goggles and this is my snorkel. Have you ever pretended to go for a swim? Maybe you've been for a real swim at the beach. Isn't the beach wonderful, the way that the waves crash and roll into the sand? This gives me an idea. Would you like to hear a story all about a trip to the beach? You would? Let's do it.
Reading at Home!
Hi, I'm Wendy, and today we're going to read a story called No Place for an Octopus, written by Clare Zorn. Let's look at the cover. Sometimes we can look at the cover to give us clues and help us think about what the story might be about. Do you see what I see? Let's get started. No place for an octopus. When the water is low and the ocean resting, I go for a walk on the rocks, bumpy and cold under my toes. The small pools hold little worlds all of their own. There's me, like a giant peering in and exploring. That's when I find it, hiding behind the seaweed. An octopus! Its body is very strange. Long curly arms, or are they legs? Suction caps, a blobby head. It can see me. I'm a little bit afraid. The octopus is too. Could it be happy in the rock pool? It must be lonely there all by itself. It looks hungry, wet and cold. Maybe I could take it home. I could feed it, bath it, make it comfy and snug. It would be an interesting friend, thoughtful and peculiar and quiet. We could keep each other company, the octopus and me. We could do lots of fun things together. Adventures, games, travel. The octopus wouldn't be bored. I could make it happy. I could. Couldn't I? Maybe it would like to go for a swim or visit the beach. We could collect shells and explore the rock pools. Yes! I look at the octopus and the octopus looks at me. I decide I am right. A rock pool is the perfect place for an octopus. And that's the end of the story. Do you like to pretend and use your imagination? The little boy in the story did today when he thought about taking the octopus home. Of course, we know it's not safe to play in rock pools. That could be very dangerous. And you should have an adult with you and shoes on your feet when you're walking on the beach near rock pools. Now, I have some words with me today to label some of the things in the rock pool. Let's look at this illustration. Look closely. Can you see an octopus? There it is. Now, I know octopus begins with the sound O. So I'm looking for a word that starts with the letter O. There it is. Let's stick it on. Now, Oh, there's lots of seaweed in this illustration. So I'm looking for a word that has the sound S at the beginning and D at the end. Seaweed. Can you see the word seaweed? There it is. Pop it on the illustration. Now let's do one more. Do you see the pretty shell? Sh, e, all. Shell begins with a sh sound. Now the sound sh is represented by the letters S and H. Can you see the word shell? Pop it on the picture. Will you help me to read each of these words? Ready? Octopus, seaweed, and shell. Maybe you could write some words at home and label some things too.
Thanks, Wendy. Labelling is a great idea. Imagine if I had to label every single thing in this room. It would take forever. Up next, Brianna is going to show us how to make a lovely little home for an octopus underwater. See you soon.
Reading at Home TV.
Welcome back to Reading at Home. I was just thinking about the creatures I would like to see in a rock pool. Maybe a big sluggish sea cucumber or a little scurrying crab. What creatures would you like to see in your rock pool? Maybe you might like to see a little snapping turtle or a fish, maybe even a shark. Well, Brianna is going to show us how to make a rock pool of our very own that we can fill up with whatever we want.
Art at Home.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, I'm Brianna, and in the art room today, we're going to make a collage of a rock pool. A collage is a picture that mixes a bunch of different shapes, colours, textures, and objects. Now, you can use a lot of different things for your collage, but today I'm going to be using some tissue paper, some rocks cut out of cardboard, some green chenille sticks, some shells, which I bought at an art store, and some fish shapes that I've cut out of paper and decorated. We also need plenty of glue, tack, and sticky tape, and a large sheet of paper to decorate on. And you'll need a grown-up to supervise. So we're going to start by adding the water on our collage. We'll grab our glue stick and some of the tissue paper and start sticking it down like so. Now you can see I started decorating my water earlier. I'm adding lots and lots of these circle tissue paper dots, and I'm also overlapping them. That's creating what we call texture. See how it looks really good, how they're not all flat? They're sticking out, making it look very 3D. Now, once I think I'm happy with my water, I'm then going to move on to my rocks. You can see I've already started making my rock pool, but I'm going to add a few more shapes. I might add a big rock here, sticking that one down, maybe a little rock in the middle, and then another big rock over on this side. Now, that's looking like a pretty good rock pool to me, but I think it needs some life in it. So why don't we add some plants, like our seaweed? Okay, I've got my green chenille sticks, and I'm going to stick them down with a bit of tack. I'm going to do 2 little sprouts over here, and then another 2 sprouts over on the other side. And already it looks like they're waving in the water. It's coming to life, isn't it? So why don't we add some shells as well? We'll put one here and one there. Notice how the shells are really popping out of the image? That's because they're not flat. They're 3D as well, or what we call 3-dimensional, meaning they stick out. Okay, I'm gonna add another big shell here and there. And then I think we need some fish swimming around. So I'm gonna add one fish swimming up here, another fish, he can be down here looking at this big shell. A third fish, she can be trying to make a friend, and a 4th fish swimming away in this corner. And just like that, it looks like we've created a great place for an octopus to live. Oh, maybe we'll even add some little sea urchins. They look fun. You can do this with pom-poms. There we go, adding a few more. And yeah, maybe an octopus like the one in the story would want to live here. So, I actually made one earlier. Here we go, swimming around. It's our octopus. He has 8 legs, 4 made out of bubble wrap, 4 made out of chenille sticks, and a face that's made out of a paper plate with some googly eyes. So, he can come and bobble on and swim over here. And just like that, We've made the perfect place for an octopus, and you can do the same at home too.
Well, I think Brianna has a wonderful little underwater home for her octopus. Are you going to make an underwater octopus collage at your house? I've had a lovely time thinking about the beach and the adventures you have there, but it is time for another story. Stick around, because up next we have a storybook about the adventures of a very quiet little girl. Shh. See you soon.
Reading at Home TV.
Welcome back to Reading at Home. Have you noticed all of the things that you can hear when you're being very quiet? Like the song of a bird, or a plane zooming through the sky. Sometimes being quiet can help us to discover things around us that we didn't even know were there. And that's exactly what happens for the main character in our next story.
Reading at Home.
Hi, I'm Wendy, and this story is called A Quiet Girl, written by Peter Carnavas. Are you ready? Mary was a quiet girl. She thought quiet thoughts, stepped quiet steps, and whispered quiet words. Be careful, bird. Because Mary was quiet, she heard things nobody else heard. A dragonfly buzzing through the air, the soft sigh of the sleeping dog next door, the gentle creak of the tree at the end of her street. Mary had always been quiet, but there was just one problem. Nobody could hear her. I met a bird today. Mum's got the hairdryer going. She's saying, speak up, honey. A small grey bird called a peaceful dove. Huh? Use a nice loud voice. So Mary tried to speak up. The peaceful dove feeds on the ground, but roosts and nests in shrubs and trees. But it was still not loud enough. Dad's scratching his head. Peaceful what? So Mary decided to be quieter than she had ever been before. Suddenly, the world unfolded around Mary as her senses were filled with more beautiful things. A leaf hanging from a fine thread of spider silk, the smell of freshly cut grass, the tickle of the breeze ruffling her hair. Now that Mary was very quiet, her family hardly noticed her at all. Soon, she became so quiet, she felt like she just wasn't there. At first, nobody missed Mary. Look at them, blurt, bark, blah, blah, blah. Then, a small grey bird appeared at the window. Mary, said Mum, is this the bird you were? Mary? Where is Mary? Mary! 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 Called Mum. Mary! Called Dad. Mary! Mary! Their calls grew louder and louder until the whole neighbourhood echoed with the sound of Mary's name. Finally, Mum and Dad stopped calling. They fell silent and listened. Wind chimes clinked in the breeze. Bees hummed as they danced in the clover. And then, at last, the most marvellous sound of all, Mary's voice singing a small song. Mary, said Mum, have you been there the whole time? Yes, whispered Mary. But we didn't hear you, said Dad, until we were quiet, said Mary. They didn't ask her to speak up or use a nice loud voice. Instead, they sat beside her and listened for all of the small wonderful things that lay hidden in the world. And that's the end of today's story. I wonder, are you like Mary, so quiet that you almost get lost? Or perhaps you're loud and noisy like Mary's family? When I read that story, I felt like I was almost there in the story with Mary. I could see what she saw, I could hear what she heard, I can even smell what she smelled. Now, authors use sensory words to help us get to know the character and feel the setting of the story. Now, I brought my 5 senses glove along today. Let me pop it on here. Here we go. I see, I hear, I smell, I touch, and I taste. Now, I'm going to say some words from the story, and I want you to think about which of your senses that it activates or that you can use to help understand the story. Are you ready? The wind chimes clinked in the breeze. Can you hear or imagine those wind chimes clinking? What sense did you use? That's right, it was your sense of hearing. Let's try another one. The smell of the freshly cut grass. Do you sometimes smell the grass after it's just been freshly mowed? I do. That's our sense of smell. Let's try one last one. A leaf hanging from a fine thread of spider silk. I can just imagine that fine spider web glistening in the sun. Which sense are you using? That's right, it's your sense of sight. Perhaps when you next read a story, you can think about which of your senses you use to get yourself right there in the book.
Thanks, Wendy. Whenever I read a storybook, I like to wear my sensory toe socks. Aren't they great? Another great way to exercise our senses is to go outside and look, listen, and smell. There are so many interesting things that you can discover if you're very quiet like Mary when you're outside. And Nicola is going to show us some fun ways that we can connect our senses with the outside world right after this. See you soon.
Reading at Home TV.
Welcome back to Reading at Home. I was just taking a break from being quiet. I'm not very good at it. Sometimes making lots of noise and being loud is just as much fun as being quiet. But now, Nicola's outside and she's going to show us how to move and have fun in a calm, quiet way.
Moving at home.
Hi everyone, my name's Nicola. I loved reading about a quiet girl. I also like going on quiet adventures. We're going to make some patterns with our hands and our feet today. Before we start, can you make sure that you have enough room around you to be safe? When you're ready, sit really tall in your place and make your hands into fists. Take a big breath in, copy me. Hammer, 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 saw, 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 tap, 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 clap your hands in your lap. Let's do it again. Follow on with me. Big breath in, sit really tall. Hammer, 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 saw, 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 tap, 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 clap your hands in your lap. This time we're going to go really slow, like we're moving through mud. Breathe in. Hammer, 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 saw, 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 tap, 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 clap your hands in your lap. This time, super fast. See if you can keep up. Breathe in, hammer, 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 saw, 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 tap, 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 clap your hands in your lap. Whew, well done everyone. This time we're going to add our feet and our legs. Get ready to go. Take a big breath in. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Saw, saw, saw. Tap, tap, tap. Clap your hands in your lap. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Tap your toes like a drum. Well done, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks, Nicola. What a fun activity with lots of great moves. What was your favourite?
Oh, my favourite was rubbing my hands together like a saw. Shall we try it together? Saw, saw, saw.
I think my favourite move might have been doing some hammering. Ready?
Ooh, hammer, hammer, hammer. Lots of fun. And we hope you've had lots of fun with us today too.
And to continue to read some more great stories before we see you next time, join the Premier's Reading Challenge.
Simply visit the website on the screen.
We'll see you next time for more Reading at Home.
Bye.
Authorised by the Queensland Government, Brisbane.